Good evening and welcome to Estuary TV News. I'm Dan Kemp. On the show tonight we speak to Dr Sajjad about Mental Health Awareness Day, which is being celebrated today. And we look ahead to the weekend sporting action, including a departure from one of our local clubs. But first, here's James Dunn with the news headlines.
Hello, in the headlines today, a summit to address public perception of travellers and your chance to buy a little piece of Lincolnshire. The Police and Crime Commissioner has vowed to use a metaphorical machete to cut through red tape to address problematic travellers. Matthew Grove met with members of the travelling community and the local council at a special summit to open dialogue between the parties in Grimsby yesterday. Travellers said work needs to be done to change perceptions and sites need to be provided locally. And while Mr Grove agreed they needed designated sites, he also vowed to crack down on those who break the law.
I've got all the interested relevant organisations with the powers and with the money to do this better, and I'm going to take my machete and cut through the bureaucracy that is getting in the way of better protecting the people of this area, and I hope to get a better outcome so that people don't fall victim to that minority of travellers and gypsies who want to illegally invade land and destroy our beautiful environment by dumping waste and intimidating people.
A Hull company is to provide 100,000 protective suits for aid workers tackling the Ebola virus in Africa. The suits are made by Arco, and yesterday the government doubled its order as it vowed to up its efforts in the international mission to control the disease in Sierra Leone. The RNLI hopes to submit plans for a new base in Cleethorpes for planning permission next week. The new £1.5 million facility could house a larger, more advanced boat, which would be more effective in nighttime searches. Operations Manager Jack Barlow says a new station is necessary in the area because of increased traffic in the Humber. The plans went on show for the first time this week, and while the public did suggest some changes, Mr Barlow is hopeful the plan will go ahead.
There's a bit of contention of where it is. Some of the comments, it's right too close to the slip, and a lot of the, well, myself, I tend to agree with that. It'd be better further to the north, but yeah, it's well needed here. I mean, the lads go out all hours of the day and night. Majority of our jobs are at night, and I mean, you need a boat with radar and that to be out in the biggest, especially now with all the shipping. It's the biggest estuary in the world, and well, the busiest.
The leader of East Riding Council has waded into the debate surrounding the future of Hull City, despite the fact it's out of his area. Councillor Stephen Parnaby tabled a motion to back club owner Assam Alam and recognise his achievements, which the council voted to support. The club's currently up for sale after the Football Association refused to support Alam's attempt to change the name to Hull Tigers. Hull and East Riding councils have traded some pretty strong words recently over a boundary dispute, but Councillor Parnaby says there's no ulterior motive.
No, as I said, there's no hidden agendas, there's no sinister motives or anything like that. It's just recognising what he's done for this area, and given the fact that, you know, 50-odd% of people, supporters actually come from the East Riding. It's not about boundary, it's not about competition with us and another council. It's about just recognising what he's done. And you know, we should be really proud of that, and he should go down in history of being really supportive of this area.
A conservation project at the Deep has won a £128,000 grant from the Welsh Government. A research team from Bangor University are using the Lagoon of Light aquarium in Hull to develop egg collectors. It's hoped this will improve commercial breeding of desirable species so that fewer are taken from natural habitats. Currently, up to 99% of more than 20 million reef fish traded globally are taken from the wild. And finally, what do a Grimsby sextant, stuffed badgers and a letter signed by Margaret Thatcher have in common? Well, they're among more than 700 items going under the hammer in a special auction to honour Lincolnshire on Tuesday. John Taylor's in Louth is welcoming the public this weekend to view the local treasures, including Lady Yarborough's silver cup and the late Lincolnshire folk singer Brian Dawson's accordion. We spoke to James Laverick from the auctioneers.
Yeah, well, we have all the items we normally have in, but also we have a particular emphasis on the county's heritage. So, for example, we've got pictures by local artists, we've got a silver cup with a local steeplechase connection. Got Lincolnshire long case clocks. We've got accordion, which belonged to a local folk singer who was well known, recently passed away, and so on.
Well, that's it from me. Bye for now.
Thank you, James. Now today's World Mental Health Day, which is an annual global celebration of mental health awareness and education. This year, their spotlight is being shone on schizophrenia, which is thought to affect 26 million people worldwide. James Dunn interviewed Dr. Sajjad from Navigo to find out more.
So here with me today I have Dr. Sajjad, the Medical Director for Navigo. Thank you very much for speaking to me today, Dr. Sajjad. Please tell me a little bit more about schizophrenia. Is it just voices in people's head, as many people understand it, or is there more to it than that?
As you said, yeah, a lot of people think schizophrenia is about hearing voices or having some strange beliefs. However, it does not mean that the individual who has got schizophrenia would be presenting with either voices or just having some strong beliefs that are not considered to be normal for the normal general public. Or at times they might rather present with feeling that they've been possessed by somebody else. Somebody else is controlling their actions, their thoughts, their emotions. This is what we call passivity phenomena. They might actually think that the things that are normal stimulation or coming as normal senses for some people, they might have some different meanings to that. However, when the disease progresses, people tend not to feel those symptoms that often. Rather, they become something we call negative symptoms of schizophrenia, which means that it's more about not having motivation to look after themselves, look after their surrounding, not being able to kind of undertake any recreational or any professional activities, and it's not necessarily at that time that they will be coming up with what we call hallucinatory experiences or delusional beliefs.
So those ones that we described initially were quite extreme symptoms, but actually the ones that you talked about afterwards, such as personal neglect, they can, I imagine, have just as negative an impact on people's lives.
They've got negative impact for themselves, for the family members around them, and for wider public. And those people actually can become a bit more difficult to recognize, because they might be considered as being just depressed or having something else going on in their life. But if they've got any previous symptom, as we described before, of any of schizophrenia symptoms, then it's mostly negative, what we call negative schizophrenia symptoms.
So some of the symptoms that you did describe to me seemed quite extreme. Is there a way back for people who do suffer from these symptoms? Can they lead a fairly normal life if they do get the right treatment?
People have been able to live normal lives. It all depends on the individual to be able to understand what the illness is about, how can they actually make full recovery or live a meaningful life having the illness as such. Sadly, the illness has got a chronic course. If somebody has got a schizophrenic illness, they are likely to suffer from it for a long duration of time. But there are a lot of management strategies available where we can actually control the symptom to the extent that they can actually live a normal life and normal, fulfilling life.
And are there examples of people who've gone on to actually do quite well despite suffering from schizophrenia?
Quite anecdotally, I would say there are a lot of people in our own local area in our services who are in quite, I would say, reasonable professional levels. They're still working. They've got diagnosis of schizophrenia. But if you want to research further, there are few celebrities and people who have been known in a wider world. They've been diagnosed with schizophrenia. Not too far away in the past, one of the American mathematicians was diagnosed with schizophrenia, who won the Nobel Prize. So yeah, if you got early recognition of the symptoms and you seek help at the appropriate time, there's no doubt that people can actually go on to live a normal, fulfilling life.
And do you think there is still stigma surrounding schizophrenia and how people react to it and the care available for people suffering from schizophrenia?
I think there is a stigma to quite an extent still prevalent in our societies, despite we've been kind of wanting to raise awareness and trying to do a lot of work around social inclusion of these people who suffer from schizophrenia. Yes, sadly, there are some misperceptions that these people can become unpredictable violent, aggressive for no apparent reason. So yeah, people tend not to recognize the illness as illness and try to kind of exclude them. Yes, if it happens, and if there are any emerging signs in any of the family members or friends, if you get them to be known to the specialist services or even by the GP, I think you've got a lot better chances of controlling the symptoms in a more effective way than if you leave it for longer.
What would your advice be to people who feel that they may be suffering from symptoms?
Let's not stay in denial or stay and be engulfed by the stigma. If there are any emerging signs, try to seek help, try to speak to the GP or to the local mental health services, because the outcomes are a lot more better if we actually do early detection and early management.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thanks, James.
Now on to the sports news. We'll start with news that Scunthorpe United have sacked their manager Russ Wilcox. He took the side on a 28-game undefeated run towards the end of last season in League Two to take the eye into promotion. Well, this term has started poorly with just 2 league wins to date. Current player, coach and former Hull City testimonial man Andy Dawson has been placed in temporary charge. And Dawson's first game at the helm will be away at Gillingham tomorrow. The club sit 1 place from the bottom of League One and are in need of points to drag them away from the relegation zone. Grimsby Town travel to Wrexham. They sit in mid-table in the conference and 6 points off the playoffs with 15 games played so far. North Ferriby United host Grantham Town in the 3rd qualifying round of this year's FA Cup. The Villagers came through a tough task in the previous round, knocking out Cleethorpes Town. There is no game for Hull City this weekend as it's the international break for Premier League and Championship clubs. The Tigers have 13 players away with their countries, including in the list are Irish contingent of Robbie Brady, David Myler, Stephen Quinn and potential debutant Brian Lenihan, who joined the club from Cork City in the summer and has been called up to replace injured Everton man Seamus Coleman. Aluko, Chester, Diame, Figueroa, Hernandez, Ramirez, Jelavic, Robertson and Ince are all also on the way. The Mariners, like the Iron, are another club with question marks over the future of their manager. Paul Hurst and his side have been wildly inconsistent so far, recording 5 wins, 6 draws and 4 defeats, which has seen Chairman John Fenty say he's not discussed Hurst's future with him. We went down to catch up with the manager.
But it's obviously nice when, ultimately my boss is saying that he's still got faith in me, and all I would say is John knows how hard we work here and the work we put in along with Chris Doy, Dave Moore and the players, and that will continue. And while ever I'm manager of any football club, I will always give my all, and I want us to do better than we currently are.
Luke Campbell's former coach is taking boxing out into the community. Mick Bromby coached the Olympic gold medalist from London 2012 from his base at St Paul's Boxing Academy, but now, with the help of Hull City Council, he has been made able to take boxing out to the children of Bransholme by putting on weekly sessions at St John's Church. The money from 2 of the area's councillors means that the hugely popular sessions can be run for a further 10 weeks.
If we can develop a boxing gym for the future, a positive place to attend, learn a bit of discipline, respect, comradeship, that's what we're trying to do. We've been probably working on and off of it for about a year now, and we've had hundreds of young kids into the gym. Hard lands make mischief, as you know, but putting them into a positive environment, learning them the disciplines of life and building the skills. Obviously the parents are attending, they're backing it, and it's happy days really, that's what we need.
And there's just enough time to remind you that the Hull Stingrays are in Challenge Cup action this weekend. They're at Cardiff on Saturday and host Sheffield on Sunday. Face-off in that one is at 6 o'clock. And that's all for the sport and indeed all for the show. If you have any news or sports stories, don't forget to contact us via email, which is news@estuary.tv, or contact us through our social media via Twitter at estuary.tv or Facebook pages, or simply pick up the phone and call 01472 315 561. Until next time, bye for now.